Well, one survivor has been found in the deadly crash of the Air India plane. This devastating air disaster occurred when Air India flight AI-171 en route to London Gatwick crashed shortly after takeoff from Ahmedabad Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport. The Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner operating as Flight AI-171 took off from Ahmedabad at 1:38 p.m. local time today. The aircraft was powered by GE Aerospace's Gen X-1B engines. It crashed shortly after takeoff and went down in a residential area called Meghani Nagar. Thick smoke and dust could be seen from miles away. On board were 242 people, including 230 adults, 2 infants, and 12 crew members. Of the passengers, there were 169 Indian nationals, 53 British nationals, 1 Canadian national, and 7 Portuguese nationals. The pilot in command has been identified as Sumit Sabharwar with co-pilot Clive Kunder. The Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport had been shut down and all flights were temporarily suspended. However, flight operations have now resumed at the airport according to the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Safety protocols are being carried out following the crash. Multiple international reactions have poured in since the crash, with various heads of states expressing their condolences. Now we have Peter Baum joining us for this discussion. He's a foreign editor in Weekly Buzz. He's joining us live from London. And we have another guest. He's Himanshu Bhatt. He's a senior journalist joining us live from India. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
In your view, what's the single most important unanswered questions right now, technically, politically, or ethically, that must be addressed immediately? On to you, Peter.
Yeah, well, first of all, everyone in the United Kingdom and globally, I hope, will express condolences of this absolute tragedy that India and the Indian nation are suffering. Our hearts are bleeding for you. Now, onto the actually event itself. The footage that I'm sure all of us have now seen is the plane itself seems to have not been able to gather the height and speed necessary for the Dreamliner to carry on in its normal trajectory. And I've been looking at all the experts and all the technical comments coming thick and fast through various social media channels and listening to the news radio. And everyone, although they can't seem to, they won't know the full extent of what's happened until an investigation has been carried out, it does seem to be, at this moment in time, to be something technical more than anything else. So let's wait and see until the Indian authorities have undertaken a full investigation. Isn't it remarkable, though, if true, that there seems to have been a survivor from this crash, which is, it's beyond miraculous, quite frankly, and hopefully this survivor will be able to give sufficient information about what happened leading up to this appalling tragedy, which I think will shed a lot of light on what's actually going on. Now, politically, this is interesting. I have a gut feeling on this, and it's just something that hit me immediately. All of India's true allies, will be horrified about what's happened on this in this event. Just trolling through social media, you can see some of the disgusting comments made from, let's say, people who are in countries and from religious groups who are not friendly to India. I'm staggered that they have been allowed to comment as such on social media. And whilst there's been an outpouring of grief from the likes of, say, Pakistan, sending condolences and sending all the right signals, something inside of me tells me that if their nationals are spewing such vomit and such hatred on social media, this is indeed can be a reflection of what politicians who are not, let's say, not India's allies are truly thinking. But I assure you, for India's allies, United Kingdom, people in Europe, Israel, for example, are truly horrified about what's going on. Now, the political fallout of this could be immense or it could be nothing. This will truly depend, I believe, on the investigation that the Indian authorities will undertake. And if, for example, let's just take a wild shot at this. If, for example, the gentleman who survived miraculously is able to say, well, in the plane there were some strange things going on that I witnessed, etc., 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 then that obviously could have a political fallout. I'm rather hoping that nothing like this has occurred, and it really seems to be a technical error. So I think the political repercussions will not be known or undertaken or played out until a full investigation has taken place.
And now on to you, Himanshu. Do incidents like this highlight a larger need for shared international aviation safety protocols and independent investigation?
It does. Actually, Suma, let me tell you something. Where Peter left, I'll start. It's something like a miraculous escape for a person who was sitting in seat number 11A. His boarding pass was seen. His name is Vishwas Ramesh. That is what they call it. Now he's come out unscathed. A few bruises here and there, a bit of blood from his body, but not even concussion. So that's a miracle. But let me tell you one thing. In the flight, there was a former Gujarat CM, Vijay Rupani. He's dead. Now, I'm not casting aspersions at anything, but I have few fundamental questions to ask. See, it was a Dreamliner, twin engine. And experts say, with this Dreamliner's twin engine, if one fails, still the other one is capable enough to last you through the journey. How is it that within 40 seconds of a takeoff, both the engines fail simultaneously? That's the basic question that I ask. The reason for that is, see, the runway at Ahmedabad International Airport is one of the biggest in the country. That's 3,500 meters. So this Dreamliner attained a speed of 175-78 knots at that, and then for 40 seconds, while taking off, it went up only 400 feet. And then it, parallelly crashed into a building of a medical college hostel. 3 of the students are also dead in this. So my question here is very, very simple. See, it could be a rarest of the rare failure of both the engines simultaneously, which doesn't happen in the world. We have not seen it happening in the world. Or other thing is some high-level sabotage. Supercomputers, this Dreamliners function on supercomputers. Could have been hacked. That could be. I'm not casting any aspersions. And that's why when Peter said, let the full technical investigation take place. Let everything be examined. And then we'll come to know the truth. Yes, what Vishwas will say will also reveal quite a few things. But here the question here is, this is something which is new normal in a new geopolitical world, which is shaping up. So many things are happening. Just last month, India had a big skirmish with Pakistan. They were beaten to pulp. They were hit to pulp. 11 of their air bases were hit to pulp. Well, things could happen. And in that, when India hit Pakistan, what happened? What was destroyed? The air defense system of Chinese, F-16 and the American radars were destroyed. We didn't know they were there. So basically what I'm saying is, in the new political world, political fallout, once the investigation is done and the truth is revealed, if it comes to public, there'll be a lot of fallout and quite a few people will be worried with this.
Yes.
If this is one of the just incident and really a mishap, rarest of the rare mishap, then it's okay. But otherwise, there are going to be consequences.
And now building on that, we zoom out a little bit, and Peter, on to you. With 53 British nationals on board, how is the UK government responding diplomatically and in terms of consular support, as well as how's the media over there covering this?
Sorry, is this question over to me?
Yes, Peter. Should I repeat
do apologise. So as you can imagine, the news channels are saturated at the moment with coverage on this event. It normally wouldn't have been, but for the fact that there are 52 nationals on board, the British media are obliged to give it such coverage. I assure you that if there were not 52 nationals on board, the British media would have given this just the slightest of coverage and not been interested. But they are absolutely forced now to give it coverage and to give it the full investigation and media coverage that such a tragic act like this deserves. So the British government are saying all the right things at the moment. What I'm a little bit wary of, and I think what your viewers in India should be aware of also, is I sincerely hope that the British, let's say, investigating technical team are controlled fully by the Indian team, who should be given and should have absolute priority about who is allowed to investigate what. Because we've seen from previous air crashes, such as the Malaysian one and other airliners that have gone down, that once let's say a conglomerate of nations gets involved with investigation, nothing gets investigated and nothing gets reported. I would want the Indian authorities to take sole control over the investigation into this crash. Of course, allow the British authorities, the Portuguese authorities and the Canadian authorities, who all had nationals on board, to give assistance if necessary. But I'm certain that the Indian investigation team have the full technical ability to understand what's gone on here and will come up with their report. And they should allow, but be in direct control of other investigations. Now, as I said to you before, at the moment, on all the British news coverage channels, this is getting traction, but I assure you it's solely because there are so many British nationals on board. Had there been none, or just one or two British nationals on board, this would have just been given the most cursory of cover. So I wouldn't say it's exactly crocodile tears, or there would have been crocodile tears, but at the moment the British government are making, as one would expect, the correct statements. But again, I sincerely hope when it comes to the investigation that it's the Indian technical team that takes full and utter control of this.
And now, building on to Peter's answer, I would like to ask you, Himanshu, should India establish a fully independent air accident investigation authority, or there is one, and is there a larger? Yes.
That is an independent action. They will do their work. But what Peter said, I seem to concur. It's a crocodile's tears, Basically, I can understand. See, Britishers have been behind Bharat, India, for free trade agreement. They want a Rolls Royce to come in here with the engines. Things are there, as I said, geopolitical world has changed. And there will be quite a few players across Europe who would show interest, but not a sincere interest. And the investigations need to be really independent and go to the root that what caused this delay, the failures of both these engines, G engines, twin engines, both the engines failing simultaneously. That doesn't happen in a Dreamliner. We have not heard of it. Have we? You check the World Aviation Record and we have not heard of it. This is the first one. And that's why I said that could be a bigger angle of a sabotage. You have to investigate. But that is going on. It will go on. Yeah, maybe officially as the world wants to know it, it may not come out. But the actions will be taken. Actions will speak. The Home Minister of the country, Amit Shah, is in Ahmedabad today. And mind you, Ahmedabad is the hometown of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah. And there are so many detractors in the world who do not like Narendra Modi. There are quite a few people who want to show the optics. For the optics, nothing better than Ahmedabad or Ahmedabad International Airport, or the mishaps, or the so-called accidents. Well, I wish it is one of the rarest of the rare accidents, mishaps. But then you cannot discount this possibility. And that's why, as, initial shock subsides and rational starts thinking, the rational mind, all these questions come to your mind.
Now, today are there